Yeah, especially early in that first quarter. I thought we were disruptive. I thought we did a good job of making them take tough shots. We did a good job of making everything difficult. There were ebbs and flows of that.
You're the decision maker of who goes in the game when the crowd is chanting for Michaela Timpson like that. What's going through your head? How does that feel for you, especially in a blowout?
I didn't end up a blowout. I obviously KK was going to get in the ball game throughout the course of the day, or the game. But I think for us, the way that we came out in the first quarter was really impressive.
The Indiana Fever just destroyed the Lynx, but here's the twist. They did it without Caitlin Clark and without 5 of their top rotation players. So how in the world did Kelsey Mitchell lead this team to such a shocking win? And what does this say about who the Fever really are as they surge into the playoffs? This wasn't one star carrying the weight. This was a culture shift, a tactical change, and a whole roster stepping into the spotlight. Let's break down exactly how adversity became their biggest advantage.
I think it was more about discipline. I know I had a turnover on baseline, then we missed 3 box outs, and that's not stuff you see on the scoreboard, and that's what everybody cares about, what's only on the scoreboard. But I think in order for us to be who we need to be for a playoff run.
Getting into the playoffs is something you guys could gain today. What do you feel like, especially defensively, you did add that you can carry over into the weekend?
I know a lot of people will talk about Nafisa not playing, but I think they're really good with or without her. They're just a really great basketball team. So I think it was a big win for us. The rebounding, knowing who we're guarding, not having live ball turnovers was kind of it was pivotal in that third quarter, and so we got gut checked because it could have easily flipped the other way. But I think you see our growth.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video.
It was big for us because, being able to know, guarding Courtney Williams, knowing that her thing is a pull-up, knowing that now instead of not knowing that, because they set the bar high standard-wise. We know what we know what to expect when it comes to Minnesota Lynx, and so I think going into the playoffs, it's big for us because we give ourselves a chance, and if they are the standard, we get to see where we are. I don't want to sound cliche, but I'm never gonna give up.
How does a team win without its biggest star and 5 players who normally carry heavy minutes? That's exactly what Indiana was facing when they rolled into Minnesota. Caitlin Clark was out. Multiple contributors weren't suited up. On paper, this looked like a setup for a blowout loss. Most people figured the Lynx would jump all over them and send the Fever home early. Instead, what happened was the opposite, and it all started with Kelsey Mitchell stepping into the spotlight in a way that felt bigger than just one night.
But they were on a run, too. So there's a lot of things that go into it. But I love that our fans love KK. She is a great human being. She's going to be a hell of a player. I think it gives us a lot of confidence, knowing that we can meet the moment at times. I think that when we get a chance to sort of reflect back, it's how do we meet the moment in every game. You've seen flashes of it right now. We call her Baby Tosh, but she's just got so much ahead of her.
Going into the game, the expectations were low. Clark has been the headline all season, and missing her meant all eyes turned to Mitchell. It wasn't just about filling a scoring column, it was about being the anchor when the team's engine was missing. Usually when a roster gets gutted like this, the pace slows down, offense gets clunky, and defense falls apart because everyone suddenly has to do jobs they're not used to. That's the story we've seen in the league over and over again. Take away a star and the team collapses. Yet from the opening tip, Indiana set a completely different tone. Imagine this, the first possessions of the game, ball is moving, cuts are sharp, and the Fever looked locked in. They didn't play like a team limping into a matchup. They stormed on with a 10-0 run right out of the gate, and the Lynx just looked stunned. This wasn't survival basketball, this was statement basketball. The crowd probably expected Indiana to ease their way in, to figure things out slowly without Clark, but Mitchell and her squad weren't interested in moral victories. They were grabbing control of the game before Minnesota even hit the scoreboard. Now here's where it gets interesting. Kelsey Mitchell wasn't just filling a space. She's been crafting a season where she's averaging over 20 points per game, which is something no Indiana player has done at a steady clip in franchise history. This wasn't her stepping up last minute. This was a continuation of who she's been all year. A steady source of offense, fearless attacking the rim, and dangerous pulling up from outside. In games like this, you need that kind of player. Someone who doesn't blink when the floor feels empty. Mitchell made sure the Fever never looked like they lost their heartbeat. And it wasn't just her. That's what made this game so revealing. Coach Stephanie White has been drilling a simple message into her team. Be where your feet are. Focus on the possession in front of you. Don't obsess over who's missing, just execute with who's there. That showed up in the way players filled roles they weren't always expected to play. Aaliyah Boston, usually the inside presence, was orchestrating possessions, setting up teammates, and working almost like an offensive hub. Odyssey Sims brought confidence off the bench, pushing the tempo and keeping the defense uncomfortable. Lexi Hull was flying around on defense, deflections, stops, extra hustle plays that never show up big in the box score, but kill momentum for the other team. And then you had Kalia Powers stepping onto the floor and immediately knocking down threes, changing the spacing of the game in seconds. This is why it wasn't just about scraping by. When you see Boston running the offense smoothly, Sims attacking like she's got nothing to lose, Hull making the Lynx work for every pass, and Powers shooting without hesitation, you realize this roster isn't one-dimensional. They didn't lean on one scorer to replace Clark. They reshaped their whole look in real time. That's not desperation, that's identity. Indiana proved that night that depth and adaptability mattered just as much as stardom. What made it so shocking is that teams usually fold in this exact spot. Without their star, you expect scoring droughts and defensive lapses. Indiana did the opposite. They dictated pace and forced Minnesota to play catch-up almost from the opening minutes. Watching Mitchell orchestrate in sync with Boston, watching contributors off the bench look fearless, it felt less like a gap being patched and more like a blueprint being revealed. So here's the real question hanging over everything now. If the Fever can dominate like this without Caitlin Clark, what happens when she comes back into a roster that has already proven its balance, its toughness, and its ability to win without her? Think about how dangerous that mix could be. A superstar returning to a team that no longer sees itself as dependent on her alone. The Fever's struggles with injuries didn't break them, it built them. Every missing player forced someone else to step into a bigger role, and that grind created a team that now looks tougher, smarter, and more connected. That's the kind of DNA championship teams are made of, because it wasn't easy and it wasn't supposed to happen this fast. So think about this. If they're this good without Clark, what happens when she rejoins a group already playing fearless basketball? The Fever aren't just back. They're creating something bigger than one superstar, one upset win, or even one single season.